Last week was so busy. I don't know about you, but I had so many networking events, social things to do. And it was probably one of the busiest weeks I've had all year. I mean, it makes sense because it's Libra season. And especially because eclipses are happening this month, there is an opportunity to really reflect on relationship and relationship dynamics. And as this year has been so much more about in person connection, inevitably you start to realize old patterns that you have, new versions of yourself that are coming through that might feel a little bit awkward or at least unfamiliar when you're sharing it with others. And for myself, I had to introduce myself many, many times last week, more so than usual. And in one of those conversations, as I was explaining the work that I do, what is career astrology, what are my days like, why do I find astrology to be helpful, how I got into this line of work, I realized that I use astrology as a form of therapy for myself and for others. It is something I've always spoken about, but I never use the word therapy. And I believe that those who love astrology see it for what it is, a tool to better understand yourself, to do some of the more difficult introspection moments, uh, or rather, what's the right way to say? Just the looking at the sides of you, the different parts of you that are a bit harder to understand and see, your blind spots, or kind of where you are a bit in denial about. And time again, it has proven to be such a light in those moments of darkness, whether I'm doubting myself, working through my anxieties, my fears. And really, I see astrology as a cheat code that has been given to us. And I believe that you also believe in the same thing, that astrology is a form of therapy, that it's a cheat code that allows you to see yourself in a different light and to really, really see yourself for who you are and embrace your authentic self. And if this is the first episode that you're listening to, you're at least curious about what astrology can share with you. So today I want to share three different quote unquote planets that you can look at in your birth chart. I say quote unquote planets because some of these aren't really planets, but for the sake of consistency, we as an astrologers like to just say planets. These are three different planets that you can look at to start some of that deeper excavation of self and maybe give you some insights that traditional therapy that like hasn't given you. Because I know that I do traditional therapy, I use astrology, I use mindfulness and yoga, and really going inward provides the answers that you are seeking. And if you don't know your placements, go to yoursaturn.com, get your free career astrology report, or Google free birth chart, download or look at one of those many astrology apps. I'm pretty biased to the one that I created, yoursaturn.com. It's a website. And so let's get to it. The first planet we're going to talk about is your moon sign. Your moon sign is your internal world, how you process emotions, how you kind of deal with difficult things in your life. It is also what your inner child needs, what you need to feel nourished, and what you need to feel like you're really taken care of. As an example, my moon is in Capricorn. Structure, like set schedules, really make me feel safe, knowing what is going to happen. Capricorn is also a sign that really likes to have control. So, having that false sense of control, whatever it may look like, whether I'm scheduling something or I'm taking the lead and kind of moving the ball forward in whatever area in my life I feel like needs some action and momentum. And Capricorn is the sign of career. So I really need to feel like I'm doing something in my career, like it's moving forward. And what I've really learned is that it's really not about how much I've achieved, how much money I've made. It's about my mindset. And so at the end of every single day in my mind, or, I journal about this, I will write down a couple wins because it's very easy for you to feel negative, to have a negative outlook to how things went. And this is a wonderful tool, a ritual that helps to remind me that I have come very far and that every single day I am doing something to help me achieve my goals. Sometimes it's difficult to understand and to really see, but when you write down the different wins that you had, they don't need to be big. They could be quite small. Just think of these small victories, moments of growth and expansion. It gives you a moment to reflect. It calls in gratitude and really shifts you into the frequency where we want to be. It's expansive, it's creative, it's optimistic. So take a look at your moon sign to understand how you process your emotions, what you need to feel secure. And if it's an earth sign, so we're looking at Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, it can be hard for you to process your emotions, to really feel them instead of trying to explain them away, kind of putting them to the side, being like, I don't have enough time for this. Let me just move past it. And I know that's how I processed emotions before I got into this line of work. And in terms of inner child healing, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. It's a very masculine planet. And there is some healing that needs to be around kind of how you take charge, finding more balance between the masculine and the feminine, finding a balance of flow and force. Second planet I want you to take a look at is going to be Saturn. Good segue. Saturn is a planet of responsibility, of maturity. And there are three important astrological milestones that happen in your life known as a Saturn return. Happens in your late 20s, mid to late 50s, and mid to late 80s. During these three periods of time, the first one in your 20s being the most intense, you have a bit of an existential crisis that will cause you to most likely change your career, pivot, start a business, quit your job, move to a different country, move back to your home country. I know I definitely did that. And my Saturn is in Sagittarius. So I spent a lot of time rethinking and redefining what success means to me, as well as kind of coming to terms with the fact that freedom is very important to me. Because Sagittarius is a sign of belief systems, of higher education, higher thinking. I had taken a lot of time during my Saturn return to rewire my belief system, my operating system, how I move through the world, and how I believe the world works. That was when I had my spiritual awakening, very common for people when they are experiencing their Saturn return to experience a spiritual awakening as well, which really is just a homecoming, coming back home to yourself, to your truth, and really kind of embracing, welcoming in that next version of yourself that is more authentic and true to you. And I had some very hard lessons to learn because Saturn is the planet of hard work, of dedication, of maturity, of responsibility. And I had to change my belief system, the way that I worked, and how I perceived the balance of work and kind of my personal life. So when you look at Saturn, whether you are experiencing a Saturn return, you are about to go into it, you've just ended it, whatever it may be, know that every time Saturn retrograde happens, which happens in the summer. I believe it lasts for about like 5 months or so. You can do a quick Google. Sorry, I don't have the exact timing of it. You will kind of revisit some of these themes. Doesn't feel as intense, but you'll kind of reflect and wonder like, okay, am I working in the right ways? Not necessarily working harder, but I like to say working smarter. So that's the second planet I want you to take a look at because it really showcases the different challenges that you will face professionally. And of course, sometimes that manifests in your personal life as well. And then the last one I want to share is Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer, not a planet, but an asteroid. And Chiron gives you insights into the wound that you carry throughout your life. It's kind of like a fear and anxiety you have. And lately, I've been seeing a lot of Chiron in Tauruses, people who are getting their expanded career astrology reports or booking a reading with me. And those with the Chiron in Taurus tend to feel like the rug is going to be pulled out from underneath them. And they value stability above all else. These are the types of friends that always feel like they're going to be fired. They don't feel like they have a lot of security. Even though people around them, I'm like, are you crazy? No, you're not going to get fired. You're doing a great job. They have challenges around stability, around self-worth. Sometimes they might feel like they don't have enough money. We're working around those themes. But when we recognize and when we embrace some of these are some of the things that are difficult in our lives and what we're working towards, then we are able to really kind of it's less hard when you embrace it, when you don't try to push it away, because the more you try to ignore it, the more intense you'll kind of meet these lessons. And once we understand what our fears and anxieties kind of always center around, this can turn into one of our greatest gifts because we can show others what we have learned. And when you understand and you have awareness around what your fears and anxieties are, you can address them better. You can kind of see them and start to be able to gather some tools and resources that can help you manage it much better. So again, looking at your moon, Saturn, and Chiron, these are some areas that you can use astrology as a form of therapy. And with the moon, uncovering your emotional world, developing more emotional awareness and literacy. Saturn gives you an understanding of the challenges you face and where you need to take more responsibility and areas that need you to kind of require more growth and maturity in. And Chiron is really an opportunity for you to be more compassionate to yourself and know that we all have our fears and challenges and anxieties. And when we're able to really accept all parts of ourselves, we are much stronger. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you need more insights, you know what to do. Go to the show notes, grab your expanded career astrology report, or book a reading with me for some one-on-one time to ask your specific questions. All right, until next time.